The strategy is about taking cognizance of the changes in our society. It's about understanding the different demands that are on our volunteers, on our clubs, on players to play, on parents actually wanting to engage with our rugby communities to allow their kids to play. So it's about how do we create really vibrant, sustainable rugby communities for people to be a part of this fantastic game. I think that we do have some challenges in the game, and certainly with our regional teams and through what we're doing nationally, we want to work to change the culture in the game so that we look at what can we collectively deliver with the clubs and making sure that we've got a really strong and vibrant game. Underway at the moment, we have a review of the schools and youth conferences, and again, that's looking at creating a structure that will be fit for purpose for the next 5 to 8 years, and looking at how do we provide a better opportunity for school kids, but also looking at our clubs and how do we provide opportunities for our youth players within the club game as well within the conference structure. We want to make sure that we are giving local, regular opportunities for women and girls to be involved in the game. And one of the things that we have done this year is to make sure that we're delivering an inclusive game through the work of the department. And so we've embedded the women and girls game into the KPIs of everybody in the department, so we're all responsible. At the end of the day, our job as Scottish Rugby, the job of the clubs is about making sure that we've got more players playing the game. We've got players that are turning up and playing, even if there's not 15 players to actually play the game. It's about deregulating the game to make sure that every week, if players are coming, they're going to be sure that they're going to have a game that they can actually play in. We've got a track record of delivering with coaches and with match officials, but we've never really worked with volunteers or club committee members. So it's about how we work with club and committee members as we go forward. It's about looking at sharing what are some of the challenges within the game, sharing what some of the solutions are to these challenges, but also looking at how do we work smarter, how can we work better, how can we support these volunteers and club committee people to do smarter work that maybe actually saves them time in terms of what they're actually doing within their club environment. Well, our Scrums management, data management system has given us clean data. So as I said before, the numbers that we have currently registered on Scrums is 36,207 players. That is giving us a benchmark for the game, and a quite clear benchmark that we've never had before in the game, because we've been working with a system called CDMS. We've been looking at volunteers in clubs and schools providing us with the information. So this is the first time ever that we'll have really cleansed data. We know that what we have now are the pure numbers that we have playing the game in terms of being registered on Scrums database. Scrums has been fantastic, and Scrums in the future will give us some great intelligence in terms of the number of games that individual players are playing, the number of teams that are playing, fulfilled fixtures, the differential between scores between clubs, etc. But really importantly, in terms of how we're going to work in the future, we're talking about retaining players being quite a key pillar of what we're going to do through our strategy. And through Scrums, that will be able to provide us with the information that will show us if we've got specific issues in the game with dropout of players. It will be able to identify the age groups, which will then support us to work with our clubs and our schools to provide interventions to try to keep these young people in the game going forward. The 36,207 players doesn't include players who are playing in other game formats like Tartan Touch. We had over 4,000 players that were playing in Tartan Touch last season. We've got a number of players taking part in the T4 conferences and also in other game formats as well. And we have not included these players in that number because they're actually not registered on the database. We know that society is changing and the demands on player time are ever increasing. And so we need to look at, how do we work to create a product that is really interesting and viable for some of our players to continue to engage. While experience in the game is really important and we need experience in the game, we also need a real balance in the game as well. And I think that we need to change the demographic in some of our clubs so that, we need to start involving younger people in decisions that are being made around the game. Instead of actually making decisions for them, we need to be involving young people in our club committees. We need to be involving players in committees and players having a say in terms of what's happening within the clubs. And we need to provide a much more flexible, tailored offering as we go forward. Some of our clubs are playing are having to use upwards of 48 players to fulfil one fixture. That is one huge pressure on our clubs to have to do that. So it's about looking at how do we address the competition and the playing season? How do we address that to make sure that it's something that players and coaches want to engage in?